Do you know the scenario? You are with your partner somewhere and they're saying, you were super passive aggressive towards me. And then you're saying, no, I wasn't. Yes, you were. If you talk like this, that's passive aggressive. You are being ridiculous. You're too sensitive. That doesn't make sense. Then they start to tell you how you should talk to them. Then you tell them that you don't want them to tell you what to say, and that's too much. And so it goes on and on. Maybe the situation escalates to that point that you guys don't speak for 2 days. And in some couples, they have these discussions like all the time. It's always about something that maybe you say that annoys the other person, and you cannot just figure it out. It could also be that it's always the same thing in the household, like the way one person does the dishwasher is not good for the other person, or the way that you park the car they don't like. It's something small, and you don't really understand why you've been fighting about it, but you cannot get out of that cycle. So the thing is, what's happening here is, first of all, people have very different perceptions of a situation. So you could get around and round in circles because the way you think you say something doesn't land the same way at the other person. And then you have both your triggers, and you just have a different opinion about the world, right? And what's right, what's good, and what's bad, and so on. So these discussions can go on forever. The point is that what's actually going on here, if you look underneath, is that your problem is not the thing itself, but the unfulfilled needs underneath it. So, for example, if your partner always feels that you're very passive aggressive, the problem they are having is that they maybe need more assurance in these situations, or more sensitivity towards them, and they are just craving for a conversation where there's a lot of kindness and maybe explanation about how something is met. That is the real problem. So instead of you talking for 1,000 hours, what's the right way to talk to each other? Much better would be to bring the conversations to these unfulfilled needs and say, okay, my problem is that I get really triggered when I perceive this passive aggressiveness, but what's really going on is that I just need in a conversation a lot of understanding, a lot of explanation, and just that I feel really safe and really heard by the other person, right? That is the need. So by bringing the conversation to that, instead of whatever you're talking about it, you're actually starting to talk about the real thing. And the real thing is always very vulnerable, right? It's much more vulnerable to admit that you need a lot of safety and a lot of understanding than to attack the other person because they are so horrible and so passive aggressive and anyways the worst person in the world, right? So, and when you are then in this vulnerable, real, raw space, the chances of you feeling a lot of empathy for your partner and they feeling a lot of empathy for you is like much, 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 much higher. Because if someone accuses me of being passive aggressive, I just think, no, I show you aggression. You know what I mean? Like, this is the response I get because I just feel attacked, and I just think that this is unreasonable, and that anyways they are, a little bit of a weak person or something. This is just what comes up to me. It's my defensive reaction because I don't like it if someone accuses me of something, and makes me frame me as if I'm this bad person. But if someone comes to me and says, I need a lot of safety and understanding, and the way they also communicate it is not, I demand safety from you and understanding because I'm sensitive, not like this, but the energy is, man, I realized I need a lot of safety and understanding. I feel unsafe in situations. If that someone says to me, I feel immediately empathy and being like, whoa, I understand, and I have often also situations where I feel unsafe and I wish understanding, like I feel you, and I want to actually help you because I I can feel what you are feeling, and that makes me naturally want to get into that connection with you. And I would, for example, if someone says this to me, I'll be like, okay, so so that comment I just said, it felt like passive aggressive to you. I see. Okay, so do you know what? When we are together, I wanna, if I make like a sarcastic comment or something, I wanna explain it to you and be like, hey, just so you know, this was no attack. Like, man, I'm just joking around. Or, you know, or if I can catch myself being a bit harsh, I would be like, do you know what? Just so you know, like, I'm a bit angry because of something, but it's like not an attack at all, you know. That came out of a chirp. Like, I will explain it, right? Like, do you see what I mean? So bringing the conversation, instead of circling for 1,000 hours about the endless topic, you're actually bringing it to emotional needs in relationships. And of course, you communicate about this in a relaxed way, in a heart open way, and in a way that the other person can see your vulnerability. And that is the way to end the endless cycle of arguments that lead to nothing. So I hope that this video helped you. And if you want to know more, check out my blog on my website, where I have loads and loads of information about these kinds of relationship topics. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.